Okay, guys, I'm just going to go over some good sources for supplemental material if you really want a deep and rich understanding of the concepts that are tested on the MCAT. Um, I feel like a bit of an idiot because the last time that I recorded my screen, I have three screens, so I accidentally recorded the wrong screen for like an entire 3 hour tutoring session. So, but anyway, I'm pretty sure this is working on the correct screen right now. So, what I like to do is, I know a lot of people feel overwhelmed by content review, and so they try to use some type of um, exam crackers book or some type of MCAT review book. And I mean, that's fine and all, but I really like to have a very, very deep understanding. So if I don't understand something, I consult really good textbooks. So this biochemistry textbook by Reginald H. Garrett and Charles M. Grisham is quite good. I think that it's just, it gives you a very, very, very good explanation of pretty much any topic you can think of within the under the umbrella of biochemistry. And it even becomes pretty interdisciplinary by talking about cells and things like that. And so, for instance, if I was like researching something, like if I wanted to know about, like, let's say like glycolysis or something, I would use like a book like this. Oh, and then they also have really good like foundational things to know and good problems as well. And I think they even have like an MCAT. Yeah, preparing for the MCAT exam. They even have these types of questions. Now, I also like to use. So now I also have. Well, this is biochemistry and molecular cell. I haven't really used this as much myself, so I'm not really sure about that. But I do like this molecular cell book. I mean, I'm sure there's like a newer edition out there because I remember using this very same book like over a decade ago. But molecular cell is also an excellent way to go over things that are also within the umbrella or underneath the umbrella of biochemistry. But in addition to that, you also will have a lot of cell biology as well, like mitochondria, stuff like that, right? And for anatomy and physiology, this Saladin book is pretty much awesome. That's the guy. It's funny that his name is Saladin because that's the name of one of the most well-known generals during the Crusades. Anyway, this is a great way to go over the topics in biology, and so I would recommend that. As for physics, the best book that I've seen on physics is this Giancoli book, and it's pretty freaking awesome. Like, I remember just like being enthralled by it, like the topics that don't even have to do with anything in like the class, like astrophysics and cosmology. Which, by the way, if you didn't know, I since I majored in physics with specialization in astrophysics and cosmology, that's where much of my research is. But yeah, even looking at something like electromagnetic waves and things like whatever, like heat and things like that, you will get a very, very precise definition. And this textbook also has some math tricks in it as well. Like here, order of magnitude rapid estimating. So, kind of think of Fermat problems in a way. So yeah, anyway, I have a lot of these books as these, really good PDF files, and I can just share it with you if you are my student through Google Drive. Particularly important is like the mathematical review because, that is that's basically a great way to get your math skills up. I mean, you're not going to have to use like the quadratic formula or anything like that, but generally speaking, the logarithms and things like that are going to come in handy. Okay. And yeah, I suppose that's it for now. So these are just some other sources. Oh yeah, and then there's also the source. Here, let me do a new window. This is also a very wiki pre-med. This is like basically the best like physics source. Go to resources physics cards, and this drop down menu will give you like, you know, the topic. So let's say I wanted to learn about hydraulic press. So I go to fluid mechanics, otherwise known as fluid dynamics. You know, pressure is that. And for something like a hydraulic press, which you will see right here, this is a hydraulic press where pressure is conserved, but, you know, like the force on A, let's say this is A, and this is the area of A, the ratio between these two is equal to the ratio between these two. So essentially what you're going to get is, like, if you wanted to solve for the force of this whatever 100 Newton thing over here, you would just multiply the area of A on both sides. So this is an example of a simple machine, and I can talk more about that later. But yeah, it basically depends on, so like the principle of Pascal's law, an increase in the pressure on the surface on one of the surfaces enclosing a fluid will be transmitted as an undiminished increase in pressure to all parts of the fluid, aka it's an incompressible fluid. Applying a small force to increase the pressure on the small piston results in an identical increase in the pressure on the large piston, corresponding to a large force. So for instance, let's say we, so yeah, for instance, like this kind of gives it away, but let's say we didn't know like some of these values. Like let's say these anvil things are not there, or rather this anvil is not here. So basically, like, we're going to push down upon this, you know, we're going to press down on this like cap with some input force, and it's going to push up on this cap. It's going to push up something that's 400 newtons, and, you know, since this ratio exists, then essentially the input force just needs to be 100 newtons. So that's just you know, something about that. It's pretty interesting. If you, I don't know if this like little fact or tidbit is going to be particularly palatable for MCAT students, but I often think of I guess like weapons ballistics, and basically if you let's say it's a video game, let's say, you know, you have some type of high caliber weapon that creates a pretty large temporary cavity. So let's say, like, you know, maybe a 45 ACP temporary cavity. So it basically looks like, here, let's see. So 45 ACP compared to like a 9mm, like right here, 45 ACP, that temporary cavity is much, much larger. Here's probably a better one right here. Oh, these are like rifle rounds. But essentially what happens when a bullet enters a, you know, a skull or any type of like body part, it creates a temporary cavity. And if that temporary cavity is in some incompressible fluid, like, you know, the fluids in your brain, it's incompressible, so it's just going to push the pressure outside, and it's going to make your head explode. So anyway, that's pretty much it for now. So yeah, hope you enjoyed.